I would like us to turn this evening to the words we have in Psalm 139. I'm not going to read the whole passage, but I'll read some of it, beginning at the start. O Lord, thou hast searched me and known me. Thou knowest my down sitting and mine uprising. Thou understandest my thought afar off. Thou compassest my path and my lying down, and art acquainted with all my ways. For there is not a word in my tongue, but lo, Lord, thou knowest it altogether. Thou hast beset me behind and before, and laid thine hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, it is high, I cannot attain unto it. Whither shall I go from thy spirit, or whither shall I flee from thy presence? If I ascend up into heaven, thou art there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, thou art there. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there shall thine hand lead me, and thy right hand shalt hold me. If I say, surely the darkness shall cover me, even the night shall be light about me. And then the last two verses. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts, and see if there be any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. And especially these last two verses in the context in which the psalmist presents this great prayer. But just by way of introduction, I would like to just refer to words we have in 1 Corinthians chapter 11, and the Apostle Paul addressing the Corinthians with respect to the Lord's Supper. And he says, wherefore whosoever shall eat this bread and drink this cup of the Lord unworthily shall be guilty of the body and the blood of the Lord. But let a man examine himself, and so let him eat of that bread and drink of that cup. Seeking the Lord's enabling, then, I would like us to present a few thoughts from these words at the end of the Psalm 139. One thing is sure, that we are, as we so often admit, a very privileged people. And we are privileged because the God of all grace and the God of all mercy has dealt with us, as we know from our own individual experience, dealt with us, unworthy creatures that we are, in such a way that he has blessed us abundantly and he's done us good. But I often think to myself, how much we really appreciate the God of grace and of mercy, the Holy One of Israel. One thing is sure, that the psalmist before us here presents to us a picture of one who lives in utter dependence upon God. He recognizes God in so many ways, but he sees him as one who knows everything about him. He is the God who knows the very thoughts of our hearts, the very intentions, every thought, word, and deed. And there is nothing, as we see from the beginning of the chapter, there is nothing that we can see there that presents a picture of a God who is distant from his people, but more especially that he is so close to his people, inasmuch as they find themselves showing that God is their God and he is precious to them. For the psalmist, it's not just that God is full of knowledge of him, but also that God is ever present. Wherever he is, God is there. God sees everything. He knows every motivation of your heart and my heart. and there is nothing that we can hide from him. He blesses us above our deserving. And the psalmist here at the end of the psalm, when he says, "Search me, O God, and know my heart," having already admitted to the fact at the beginning, "O Lord, thou hast me searched and known. Thou knowest my downsitting and mine uprising. Thou understandest my thoughts afar off." Asking God to search our hearts, it's quite a thought. The Apostle Paul was concerned that the Corinthians would address themselves before the privilege of the communion in such a way that they would examine themselves. But here David is not just trying to examine himself, but he is acknowledging that God is the true searcher of the heart. He is the one who exposes everything, and there is nothing that we can hide from him. Moreover, he wants God to try him. He doesn't want to live a life of looseness, but a life that suggests in any way at all that he is a presumptuous character. He knows, as every believer knows, that we are unworthy creatures. And it is good for us, however hard it might be and however much we might be concerned about the examination of God upon our lives. I don't know about you, but one thing is sure, I've felt many a time that when the announcement is made with regard to the Lord's Supper and this examination, I've often thought to myself, as many of us do, that we are unworthy creatures. We deserve nothing from God, or even we do not deserve to receive the bread and the wine, reminders to us of what Christ has done for us. The psalmist, having been searched by God, admitting that he knows that God knows everything, he knows his every thought. He wants God to dig deep into our lives. Now, that might not be a very easy thing for us to accept, but it's something that is necessary. Let God be the searcher of our hearts. As the psalmist says, does he not? Examine me in Psalm 26. Examine me and do me prove. Try heart and rein, O God. I ask myself, as I'm sure you ask yourselves, are we asking to be searched by God? Or maybe I put it this way, who are we asking to search our hearts? So often we live in a pretense world. We examine ourselves very often in the light of others. We compare and contrast our lives with others, instead of God, asking God, search me and know my thoughts. Yes, David says, see if there be any wicked way within me, and lead me in the way everlasting. What a privilege it is to have a God who examines us and doesn't leave it up to ourselves. Amen.